he's mentioning one point here, and it's, I know people might not like it, etc. He's talking about taqleed. That when you see what happens as a human beings, we have an everlasting or ongoing war with shaitan. Correct? Until our last moments. Now shaitan, his qaid, his makr and his deception is da'if. So he has to use our internal agents. And then you have spies, you have double agents. So the agent that we're both fighting for is our nafs, our desires. Yeah, so shaitan wants to use our nafs, our desires against us. And we have to use our nafs in our favor. Are you following me? So for example, if you overwork yourself, then your inner self and your feelings, you'll feel rebellious, you're normal. You won't want to do ibadah again. That's what you have to do. Tadreej, bit by bit, slowly control yourself. You have to fulfill the rights, sleep, drink, etc. So shaitan will use our nafs as an internal agent, a double agent to get us to do the things he wants us to do. Correct? Now one thing that happens is, if you don't become muqayyad, you don't hold yourself to one particular path and way, and what happens to your nafs? What happens to your base desires? They're free. Are you following? So that's why the ulama have said, a person who's this, like, is taqleed farad? So Sahaba never done taqleed? The tabi'in never done taqleed? Yeah, correct. But what happens as time has gone on, the madhahib have become mudawwan. Right? And when a person, without the guidance of a mufti, he starts just picking and choosing, what's happening automatically? He's now getting a habit of following his desires. He may not always do this. It doesn't mean that if he picks another madhab, he's following his desires. But it does lead to that. You see that it's opening up a way. Normally we have this is how you perform salah. This is faraz, this is halal, this is thing. But if you start picking and choosing, okay, this imam says this imam says this, imam says this, I start picking and choosing. If you go out of that, now what happens now? You've opened up your nafs have become a habit of doing what? I can pick as I want. And the conditions and the restrictions that you have, they become loose. And then the habit of going as you wish can, not always, not everybody, many people do not problem, but it can lead to what? It can lead to then ittiba'ul hawa. Do you understand? That's why they say that taqleed is very important. It's not farad. If you look at it, you can't say it's farad. Bidhatihi, that is the Quranic verse for this. You can follow any afasadu ahla dhikri. So you can argue that, oh, you don't have to do taqleed. That's all you can read, and there's loads of books written about that already. But what he's saying from a psychological perspective is, when you let yourself loose, I can pick as I want. Then what happens now? You open it in the ways of ilhad. That's why other people, ulama, have also said that when you leave taqleed, it doesn't have to be Imam Abu Hanifa. You can follow Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmad, Imam Malik, not a problem. But if a Maliki person, he says, well, Imam Abu Hanifa says this in here, pick his masla here, pick Imam Malik in here, Shafi in here, then some people in this route, then they start doing ittiba'ul hawa. And it opens up the ways of ilhad, it opens up the ways of those of kufr. And eventually, when the nafs becomes, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't want people to leave themselves totally free. If you want to do an amal, don't leave the amal. The Prophet criticized somebody. Because when you feel like doing it, you do the amal. When you feel like doing it, you leave the amal. Prophet said, "La takun ka fulan, ya mithla fulan." He used to do qiyamul layl, and he left qiyamul layl. Now he's doing now. Whenever he wants, he does. No, pray that, but keep yourself. This is what you have to do now. And you see some Sahabas, and whatever they have, they stick to it. Like Ali radiyallahu anhu, he said tasbih Fatimi every night. Never. He gave an example. He says it's a long story. Years, like decades, never missed it. Are you following? So that's why sticking fast to one way. It's not that one way is the right way. If you let yourself loose, even for example, even in talab al-ilm, if you look, those students who don't follow madrasa, like online is a big problem. Those people who just do one course here, one course here, one course here. Even in talab al-ilm, the nafs is not restricted. You have to come on this time, leave on this time. They don't get very far. Some people do, but we're not talking about looking at the harms of it. It's no restriction. You're not disciplined. That's the thing. You're not disciplined. The discipline goes away. That's why even for example, if you take mashura from everybody, like people ask like fatwa from this mufti, then from this mufti, and then from this mufti, it's like, why are you asking everybody for? What do you want to achieve? Are you looking for a fatwa that suits you, or looking for the right answer? So if you're looking for an answer, one answer that you think is going to guide, ask the mufti that you trust and just follow that. Well, you're asking 4 different places. If it's academic research or whatever, that's different. But if you're one person, you want to do amal, is this halal, is this haram? Then just do one. If you're following multiple, what does that mean? You want to see what's the best, you want to get 4 different answers to see which one you follow. You get what I'm trying to say? That's why discipline is very important. Do you understand? And taqleed is also a form of, when you leave discipline, so taqleed is a form of discipline, you have to follow, this is the masla. You don't have multiple ways. This is what it is. Obviously there are exceptions, but generally speaking. And there's a lot of people refute this, or taqleed not necessary and all that kind of stuff. But leave all that aside. If you look at it in the long term, and sometimes as well, the job of Ahlul Ilm is not simply, is it halal or haram? You have to have insight. What is the long-term repercussions of this? That's where we make mistakes. Some people are young, they've done their research, and they look at, this is masla is like this. Yeah, mashallah, very good, you've done research. But have you got the experience to realize, what's this going to cause? Like for example, somebody would say, if there's no music on a TV show, it's a TV show, there's no women, there's no music, can you watch it? Right? So now see what's going to happen here. It's not simply about that one masala. You have to look long term. What's the repercussions of this going to be? You get what I'm saying? So you have to have insight. So not simply looking at black and white. So you can, so many masail. That's why if I look at it, so many masail. There was one, so many. If you start picking, like, if you open up the doors of taqleed, you said, no, I'm not going to follow any one scholar. You could pick the it's in Muntaqaba Adidin. You'd have the worst of all adyan. You become a mulhid. Not recently, before in the past. Because you pick the rukhas. It says whoever follows the zalat of every single alim, you end up the worst of deen. You can say, I'll have tattoos, because one scholar must say you can get tattoos. Once you can have earrings. Once you can have a dog. So you end up with a deen. You can walk around with a pit bull with tattoos, earrings, wearing a vest, wearing shorts above your knee because knees not part of the aura. Listen to music. And every single, you probably find one alim, somewhere in 1400s of history, somebody may have made a mistake somewhere saying something. Put all of these together, a normal Christian wouldn't even want to associate, a decent Christian or a Jew would say this person looks like not a decent person. You get it? So, you can have prostitution, you can reinterpret verses. So you get what I'm trying to say? So if you open up the doors of taqleed, it's an extreme scenario. But this is it can lead to such extreme things. So that's why it is, you have one, and then even top of that, furthermore, that's why the madaris, they say, well, this is your teacher, not that your teacher is the best in the world, there's so many people better than your teacher, or so many better than your guide, but stick to one person that, look, in your ilmi pursuits, if you're going to ask this Maulana for advice, this Maulana for advice, this Maulana for advice, everyone's giving different advice, you'll be confused again, or you just pick whatever you think is the most enjoyable. Pick one person who you think that this is my teacher, and stick to advices, nasiha. And if you don't think that this doesn't benefit me, go stick to one person, so you have a clear guide. If not, you become tafarruq, and then you will be all intishar. So it's very technical stuff, and if you don't have insight, you don't have experience, you think, this is being very extreme, very strict, trying to get. It's not like that. If you look at the repercussion of people who've been through this path and the madarra that it causes, you become clear that this is a problem. So it's a fitna of our time that we call ijabu kulli dhi ra'yin bi ra'yihi. Everybody thinks that my opinion is the best. So why should I read these people 400 years ago, 500 years ago, 600 years ago? They don't know, we got different time. Remember, the path that's always remain is one particular path, the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, who are holding fast to the deen. And that has been through all the fitan, trials and tribulations. If you got little branches, all the branches, they evaporate. They all get cut off. The main trunk, which has stayed firm from the time the Prophet ﷺ until now, is one. If you look at it, whether they're Shafi'i, whether they're Maliki, whether they're in Russia, whether they're in China, whether they're in Sudan, America, India, Azhar, Makkah, Medina, the usul, you can just take out the name, who said this, and say, yeah, exact same statement. So some of the statements you have right now, you find that in the Hayatul Salaf. The exact same thing, but different wording. But the same ma'ana is there. Because why? The mafhum and understanding of the religion is the same. And all these little branches that branch off, either intentionally or by shaitan's deception, they come and live. What's coming in the Quran? فَيَذْهَبُ جُفَاءً وَمَا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. So these are all things. So you have to be very careful. You don't get caught up in the froth. Because the froth is a lot on top, isn't it? And at the bottom, you can't see what's at the bottom, that's the stagnant. So be very careful in these things. May Allah give me tawfiq. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.